So I've been getting a number of DMs on Instagram, and if you don't follow me on Instagram, Castle Paul on Instagram, really, that's it, asking me why did I buy this car, and that's a very good reason. I'm going to explain. So my number one reason is that I'm very proactive for saving the planet, and I think that it's really important that we do our part to ensure that global warming is stopped, and that's the reason why I bought that car, because obviously being a hybrid, it's going to contribute to that. Yeah, you're not buying this, are you?
I don't believe you.
No. Okay, let me explain why. So yes, and for those who are thinking about, don't bother, okay, because yes, I am very conscious of saving the planet, and I do my bit. And while I appreciate that we do need to do something, I'm a petrol head. I love my cars. So I bought this car because of the fact that it had a hybrid engine on the electric motor, and so you get maximum torque with minimal effort straight away, and you feel that impact, and boy does it feel like that. In fact, the last car that I had that drove like the GTE was my Audi A7 Black Edition. Did I tell you that I owned a Audi Black Edition A7? It was a great car. 3-litre diesel, 3-litre V6 diesel, 272 brake horsepower, very similar torque as what you get in this car. And when that car pulled away, wow, you really felt it. And this car does exactly the same thing. And of course, the best thing about it is that when you slam this car, when you hoon it around, you're still getting great mileage. So if you look at the picture there, you'll see I'm getting around 50 miles per gallon. That's me driving to and from work. So it's been a really great experience. Now, do I plan to keep this car? Well, yes, because it's a great daily, and that's the reason why I'm planning to keep it. And it will be around for a long time. It will be here even longer than the S3, I think, because it's not the type of car that sells very easy as a salvage car, because most people who buy these cars are sensible buyers. Now, the last time I bought a sensible car, I made quite a loss on it, and that was my Seat Leon. And if you haven't seen that video, click on this here. I bought that car thinking that I would actually make a massive killing on it, and I didn't. And the reason why is because it's a sensible car. Sensible people don't buy sensible cars that are salvage. They want brilliant cars with all the dealership support and all the rest of it. So that's the reason why I took this car. Now, the other car that I could have bought, which is exactly the same as this car, is the Audi A3 E-Tron. But have you seen an Audi A3 E-Tron? They're not very nice looking, are they? They look like well, I don't want to say it, but they look like a car that your granddad might drive. Yeah, not very sporty. But even though they've got exactly the same engine and everything about them is the same as the GTE, but look at this, and then look at this. Which one would you have bought? Yeah, you know where I'm coming from. So the reason why I bought this car is because of the fact that it was hybrid, but more importantly, I could tune it, and I can take it up to 280 bhp and 480 Newton-pounds of torque, and that is going to make a difference when it comes to the drivability. Now, this car can be pushed further. You can push these cars up to 300 brake horsepower quite easily. That's combined, but they're not reliable. The turbo goes, you put a lot of stress on the gearbox, even though the gearbox is a similar gearbox to what's fitted in the Golf R. It wasn't really designed for long-term hooning around. So yeah, so the limits of what we're going to get with this car is what it's going to get. Anyway, you know what, we've gassed on a lot. Today we've got a problem with the car that we need to fix. It's a minor problem, but it means that we need to change the rear brake pads. and the brake disc as well, because what's happening, well, I'm going to show you in a second, but in order to change the rear brake disc, you've got to disconnect the mechanical handbrake, and there's a procedure for doing that. So I'm going to show you that, and you're going to see that, and then we'll come back and have a little chat. Right, so when you look at the brakes, though they don't look too bad, they got a lot of grooves in them for brakes that are, you know, 3 years old, just gone 3 years old. But the main reason why I'm changing these rear discs are because of this. Can you hear that? That's what you hear when you're driving. So clearly there's something wrong with the disc. It's not straight, and that's why it's making that noise. You can't feel it when you brake, although you can feel a grinding noise, and I'm not sure what that grinding noise is. The pads themselves look like they got a bit of meat on them. Perhaps they're maybe on the leaner side, but nevertheless, I've never been happy with these brakes and the way they perform, so we're going to change them. They change the pads, and we're going to change the disc as well. So let's get the wheel off and start the process. Now, if you look at the disc, I don't know if you can see it, but you can see in the area it's much shinier than the rest of the disc. It's I can see it as clear as day. I mean, it literally, this area here is shiny, and I think that's where it's rubbing against the pad. So let's see if you can spin it. You can see it now when I'm spinning it, can't you? That area, that shiny area, that's what's rubbing. So what we're going to do, well, you know what we're going to do. Let's get on and do it. So here's the pads, new ones obviously, the old ones. And to be fair, they're not that warm, but they are really marked up. And these new ones obviously got grooves in the middle here to dissipate some of the material, and also the cooling as well, I think. So yeah, obviously these ones are newer and they got a little bit more meat on them. These don't have the groove in the middle, and they just seem to be very, I don't know, they're worn. So it's a good time to do them. There's about 4 mil of wear on both pads, whereas this one's got a good centimeter. So clearly we need to just replace them. So I just got to take the carrier off, and then after that what we'll do is we'll then wind the piston. So this is the electric motor, and what we have to do with these is you can't just wind this in. You've got to actually pull. There's a couple of pins that push these out, but you have to use VCDS to wind the motor in or pull it into service mode so that we can get that caliper, or at least that piston, wound back in. So we'll do that first. Well, we'll take this off first and then we'll go and wind that in, and I'll show you the process. Okay, so the first thing we need to do, we've loaded up VCDS. We're going to go into ABS braking. We'll load up that module, and then we're going to go into basic settings, and then we're going to click on start alignment change. Okay, then we're going to click on go, and we should hear the motors wind back when we click that. There we go. Right, and so that's now finished. So the motor has been wound back, and we can see on the dashboard that there is a flashing light, so that tells us that the motors are not engaged. Good. So we can now press stop on that, and then we wait 30 seconds, and then now we should be able to take the we should be able to wind the caliper back. Right, so got the disc brake on. I actually didn't have to take the carrier off in the end, it just went on. Quite straightforward. So we've wound the piston back in, giving it a bit of a clean up as well around there. So now we need to see if the piston is in far enough. In the meantime, I'm just going to put the screw back in. Actually, I'll do that right now. So we just want to screw that back into place so that it's sitting where it should do. Okay, so that's on there. Let's give it a spin. Yep, that is absolutely fine. Okay, let's get this caliper back on and see if we can, well, let's get the caliper back on. Okay, so this side is done. You can hear the brakes just grabbing. That's good. But the best thing is that there's no uneven noise. So once we set the pads in place with the handbrake, it will settle and that'll be fine. But that was relatively easy. That's probably because we've taken this side off before, but that's one side done. Let's go and do the other. Okay, so we're taking the other side off now. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Now this is what it looks like now. To that, there you go, all nice and clean. And if you're wondering what I cleaned this with, because a few of you did ask, it's nothing special. It's no Himalayan cleaning solution brought down by monks up from the Mount Everest. It is just plain and simple Auto Finesse's APC cleaner. It's called Finesse or Finesse. That is it. Just giving it a quick go over with that, and that brings it up like new. Right, let's get this on. Right, okay, so the brakes are back on. Sorry I didn't show you me resetting it, but basically there's a end lining option. You need to click that, then it resets the brakes so you can test the handbrake. The reason why I'm rushing because there's a bit of a storm coming in, so I need to get this bit sorted before I get wet. So let's get this car off the jack and then give it a road test. The car drives great. It's made a real difference in terms of when you're braking now. You used to hear the disc rubbing and it sounded like it was grating against the pad, even though the pads aren't bad. But changing the disc, that's now all gone, and that rubbing noise is now disappeared. I don't hear it now when I wind the window down, so we're fixed. Good. Now, I wasn't supposed to have the car now. The car was supposed to be in a body shop, but there's been a bit of a delay with the TT. They're having problems with the paint, and they're going to have to repaint the bumper again, and that's the reason why we still had the car, because I wasn't bringing you this video. So I'm sorry if this video has not been the most entertaining one, but it wasn't the video that I was going to bring. So next week the car should definitely be going. I hope it does, because I want to get that final piece done, and then we can start looking at the options for mapping it, and that's going to be quite an interesting video, so stay tuned for that one. In the meantime, don't forget to subscribe down here, click on the bell notification button so you know when we release any new videos. I look forward to your comments. Put them down there. See you next week.